The billionaire sat alone on a cold park bench, his empty eyes staring into darkness, feeling the world only through sounds, broken memories, and a silence that had slowly become his prison. Once a powerful man, feared by many, today he could not even see the sky above him, and the loneliness around him felt heavier than all the wealth he had ever owned in his life. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments what time is it and where are you watching from. Let's start. The wind passed softly, but it carried a strange feeling he could not understand. Footsteps approached slowly, uneven and tired, and a homeless woman stopped near him, her presence quiet yet powerful, as if she carried a truth no one else had ever dared to speak. Without asking for money or help, she looked toward him and said in a calm, steady voice, "You're not blind. It's your wife who puts something in your drink every single day." Her words did not sound like a guess. They felt sharp and certain, cutting through his thoughts, shaking the very foundation of trust he had built his life upon without question. The billionaire's fingers tightened over his walking stick, his breath growing heavier as confusion, fear, and disbelief collided inside him, refusing to accept what he had just heard. Before he could ask anything, the woman slowly walked away, leaving behind a storm in his heart, a doubt that would soon change everything he believed about his own life. The billionaire sat frozen in his car, the woman's words echoing again and again in his mind, refusing to fade, turning his calm life into a storm of doubt and silent fear. For years he had trusted his wife without question, believing she was the only person who truly cared for him after he lost his sight and his confidence in the world. But now every memory felt different. Every drink she had ever given him suddenly seemed suspicious, as if something dark had been hiding behind her gentle care. His heart refused to accept it, yet his mind kept asking painful questions, forcing him to think, what if this blindness was never an accident, but a carefully planned betrayal? That night he sat alone in his room, holding the glass she had given him, his hands slightly trembling, wondering what exactly was mixed inside it every single day. He knew he could not confront her directly without proof, because one wrong move could destroy everything, and if she was guilty, she would become more careful than ever. With a heavy heart and restless thoughts, he finally decided to act wisely instead of emotionally, choosing silence over anger and planning to uncover the truth step by step. The next morning, he made a quiet call to a home service agency, asking for a trustworthy maid, someone who could work inside his house without raising any suspicion at all. The maid arrived quietly at the mansion, her presence simple and unnoticed, exactly how the billionaire wanted, because this plan needed silence, patience, and careful observation at every step. He called her into his private study, closing the door slowly, his voice calm but serious, as he explained that this was not just a job, but a responsibility that required trust. He told her clearly, "You have to watch everything my wife does, but she must never know, not even for a second, that someone is observing her actions inside this house." The maid listened carefully, understanding the weight of the task, her expression focused as she realized this was not ordinary work, but something that could change lives forever. The billionaire explained that the most important thing was the drink, the one his wife gave him every day, and he needed to know exactly what she mixed inside it. Every small movement, every unusual action, every hidden moment needed to be noticed, because the truth was not going to reveal itself easily in a house full of secrets. From that day, the maid started her work silently, moving through the house like a shadow, watching the billionaire's wife without drawing even the slightest attention. And as the days passed, her eyes began to catch small details, things that did not seem normal, slowly building a picture that would soon expose a hidden truth. The next morning, the billionaire's wife prepared to go to the market, her voice calm and normal, as if nothing in her life had ever changed or carried any hidden secret. The maid quietly followed her instructions and joined her in the car, sitting silently in the back seat, observing everything carefully without making her presence feel important. During the drive, the wife spoke casually about daily things, her tone soft and controlled, giving no sign that she was hiding anything dangerous behind her composed personality. At the market, she moved confidently between shops, selecting items with precision, as if she already knew exactly what she needed and where to find it. The maid stayed close, pretending to assist, but her eyes remained alert, noticing how the wife paused longer at a small medical store, tucked between crowded shops. Inside the store, the wife quietly purchased a medicine bottle, keeping it hidden among other items, her actions quick yet careful enough to avoid attention from others. Nothing seemed unusual to anyone else, but to the maid that moment felt different, as if she had just witnessed the first real clue in a much deeper story. They returned home together, the car ride silent this time, and as the door closed behind them, the house no longer felt safe, but filled with secrets waiting to be revealed. Days passed quietly, but the maid noticed a man who kept coming to the house, always wearing a red cap, his presence casual, yet strangely frequent for someone called just a friend. He spoke comfortably with the billionaire's wife, laughing and sitting close, as if their connection was deeper than simple friendship, something hidden behind polite conversations. The maid stayed silent, observing from a distance, her mind connecting patterns, realizing this man was not visiting by chance, but with purpose that raised serious questions. One afternoon, she overheard them planning to go out together, their voices low but clear enough, discussing a hotel visit as if it was something they had done before. The billionaire's wife appeared confident and unafraid, showing no concern about being seen, which made the situation feel even more dangerous and carefully controlled. Later that evening, the red-cap man arrived again, and both of them left the house together, moving quickly as if they did not want anyone to notice their departure. The maid waited patiently, making sure no one suspected her attention, then quietly gathered every detail she had seen and heard without missing anything important. That night, she informed the billionaire everything, her voice steady, but her words carried a truth so heavy that it changed the entire direction of his life. The billionaire did not react immediately, but inside, a storm was rising, as every new detail confirmed the fear he had been trying to ignore since that day in the park. He calmly asked the maid to stay ready, his voice controlled but firm, because now it was no longer about doubt, it was about catching the truth with his own presence. That same night, they followed the billionaire's wife quietly, maintaining distance, their movements careful so no one could sense they were being watched from behind. The car stopped near a hotel, its lights bright against the dark night, and the red-capped man was already waiting there, standing close as she stepped out without hesitation. The maid guided the billionaire slowly, helping him move closer without making noise, while he relied on her directions, his heart beating louder with every step forward. They found a hidden spot inside the hotel lobby, staying out of sight, but close enough to observe as the wife and her companion moved together with familiarity. Every second felt heavier as the billionaire stood there, unable to see, yet finally beginning to understand the truth through actions that could no longer be denied. In that quiet moment, the last piece of trust inside him began to break, not with anger, but with a deep, painful realization that everything was about to change forever. The billionaire stood still for a moment, then took a deep breath and made a firm decision, knowing this was the point where silence would only protect the wrong people. With controlled hands, he asked the maid to call the police immediately, his voice steady but heavy, as if each word carried the weight of broken trust and painful truth. Inside the hotel, the wife and the man in the red cap sensed something was wrong, their calm behavior suddenly shifting into nervous movements and whispered panic. As they tried to leave quickly, their steps rushed and unplanned. It became clear they were not expecting to be seen or questioned about what they were hiding. Within minutes, the police arrived at the scene, their presence strong and undeniable, stopping both of them before they could escape into the night unnoticed. The wife tried to explain, her voice shaking, while the red-capped man avoided eye contact, both of them struggling to maintain a story that no longer felt believable. The billionaire stood quietly nearby, hearing everything, his silence more powerful than anger, as the truth unfolded without him needing to raise his voice even once. That night, both were taken into custody, and as the police car doors closed, a chapter of lies ended, while a much deeper truth was about to come out in the open. The courtroom was silent as the billionaire sat calmly, his face composed, but inside he carried years of pain, betrayal, and unanswered questions that were finally reaching their end. His lawyer stood confidently, presenting every detail with clarity, connecting each piece of evidence, from the suspicious medicine to the secret meetings at the hotel. The maid's testimony became the turning point, her words steady and precise, as she described everything she had witnessed inside the house without missing a single detail. Medical reports were presented, showing how the substance mixed in the drinks had slowly damaged the billionaire's eyesight over time, making his blindness no accident. The courtroom grew heavier with every passing moment, as the truth became undeniable, leaving no space for excuses or false explanations from the accused. The wife's silence said more than words ever could, her confidence gone, replaced by regret and fear as she realized the truth could no longer be hidden. The judge listened carefully before delivering the decision, confirming that the crime was planned, intentional, and carried out with complete awareness of its consequences. In that moment, justice was served, but for the billionaire, it was not victory. It was the painful acceptance that the person he trusted most had broken him completely. The courtroom slowly emptied, but the weight of everything that had happened still remained in the billionaire's heart, heavier than any punishment the judge had announced. His wife stood there quietly, her strength gone, her voice shaking as she finally asked for forgiveness, not as an excuse, but as a last attempt to hold on to what was left. Tears filled her eyes as she admitted her mistake, accepting the damage she had caused, knowing that some actions leave marks that no apology can ever fully erase. The billionaire remained silent for a long moment, his emotions conflicted, torn between the pain of betrayal and the memories of a life they once shared together. In the end, he chose to forgive her, not because she deserved it, but because he refused to carry hatred in his heart for the rest of his life. Soon after, he began his treatment under expert doctors, following every step with patience, as hope slowly replaced the darkness that had surrounded him for so long. Weeks turned into months, and gradually his vision started to return, bringing light back into his world and giving him a second chance at life. But even as his eyes healed, the lesson remained clear, that trust once broken can be forgiven, but it never returns in the same way again. The mansion that once felt cold and empty slowly began to fill with life again, as light returned not just to the billionaire's eyes, but also to the broken pieces of his heart. A small gathering was arranged at home, not a grand celebration, but a quiet moment of gratitude, where close people shared smiles, relief, and the comfort of a new beginning. The billionaire stood among them, no longer dependent on darkness, his vision restored, but his personality changed into someone calmer, wiser, and deeply aware of life's truths. Days later, he returned to the same park where everything had started, walking slowly toward the bench where he had once sat, lost in blindness and confusion. He searched for the homeless woman, the one who had changed everything with a single sentence, but she was nowhere to be found, as if she had disappeared after completing her purpose. He stood there quietly, realizing some people come into our lives not to stay, but to guide us when we need truth the most, even if it comes in the most unexpected form. With a soft breath, he whispered a thank you into the air, hoping somehow it would reach her, wherever she was, carrying his gratitude for saving his life. The story ends here, but the mystery lives on. Like, subscribe, and return for the next unforgettable journey.